I'm Steven.
And I'm Kevin.
In today's episode of the Steven and Kevin Show,
we're going to talk about building a 20-minute LinkedIn routine. Hello everyone, and welcome back to episode 78 of the Steven and Kevin Show. And today we're going to give you a 20-minute LinkedIn routine in less than 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin wrote a fantastic book a while back called The Indispensable LinkedIn Sales Guide for Financial Advisors.
Is that a mouthful for you, Steven?
I've said it 100 times, and I still can't quite nail it. But a very descriptive title of a very good book. One of the things in there that people have always liked is the routine. And now is a good time to update it. LinkedIn changes constantly.
Yes.
The features, the functionality, how things look, it all changes. So we're going to update that. Also with some new ideas for things that are working now that weren't around back then. So
that's true.
Let's jump right into it. I mean, today, the reason why we cover a routine is that most people, if they log in at all, they wander through, they click here and there. They're just as likely to find an opportunity as they are to find their way into Facebook and Instagram and wandering through their old college roommates' pictures.
Yeah.
Right? We need to be more focused if we want to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, we want to use LinkedIn intentionally, right? We want to have a process that we work through that ultimately should drive some business value. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to go through this fairly quickly. There's a lot of steps involved. Some of these you might think, duh, like that's obvious that you should do that. Other ones you might think, oh wow, I'd never thought of that. So
when we're thinking about how this works, like a 20-minute LinkedIn routine, this is going to differ for everybody, and you want to take the advice we're giving here and then personalize it for you. So there's some things you're going to add in that we don't do, some things that we do that you don't want to, that's okay. But have a printed list or a digital list that's in front of you, so when you do log in, you work your way through a checklist.
Mm-hmm. Number one. This is one of those ones that I was referring to that might be super obvious, but check your messages and respond just like you would email, right? If someone messages you and it's not a spam message, like a recruiter or someone you don't want to respond to, but if someone you actually want to respond to, you should respond and you should do it promptly and you should check it every day.
I'll tell you why this is more important now is that people expect responses there now, where I think years ago it was just such a novelty that it wasn't egg on your face if you didn't respond.
Yeah.
And I fell into this the other day, Kevin. I had a message from somebody who said, hey, she had gotten my email. She says, hey, I messaged you days ago on LinkedIn. You didn't respond. I have an opportunity for you.
There's an expectation there.
Yeah, I'm like, God, I should have been doing that.
Yeah.
So,
that's exactly right. And you know what? I mean, I have LinkedIn up pretty much all day long. So like if I see it come through, like I'll respond pretty quickly. Plus, you just don't get as many messages typically as you would emails. So maybe that expectation's even higher now.
Yeah. Absolutely. So number two, check My Network for recent activity. Mm-hmm. The My Network tab is an interesting one because you have people who are reaching out to you to connect, and this is where it's going to appear. These are sometimes opportunities. These are sometimes people you've met recently, all people that you'd like to give a timely response to.
Exactly. Number three, review your notifications and look for opportunities to engage, right? There's one thing to post content. It's another to actually purposely go out and write a really thoughtful comment on something or wish someone happy birthday or happy work anniversary, and you never know what's going to come of that. We run a lot of social media profiles for advisors, and sometimes we'll do some light engagement for them. There's an advisor we're working with in Southern California, and we went and wished one of his connections happy birthday. And the person responded and said, hey, thanks so much. My husband and I are actually in the market for a new financial advisor. I'd like to meet with you and see if you'd be a good fit for us. And you could have blown him over with a feather. He was like so excited, and that's not a typical response, but people appreciate it, and people notice when you engage with their content.
Yeah, one thing also is don't use the generic LinkedIn filler text. If you have a lot of LinkedIn connections and you update your job profile, you notice LinkedIn gives it to you in list format. And you'll notice that there's a ton of them that are all the same. And usually you don't pay much attention to those because you know somebody either had a computer algorithm go in and hit the like button or post this rather mundane comment. You just don't give them a lot of credit for it. But for those who say, Steven, happy work anniversary. I know you and Matt and Kevin must be celebrating tonight. Have an IPA for me.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, oh, thanks. That's really nice.
It stands out amongst the crowd.
Yeah. Absolutely. Today, by the way, Kevin's birthday. Happy birthday, Kevin.
Are you going to sing happy birthday to me?
No. There are plenty of Mexican restaurants that will. You're not getting that from me today.
Yeah. All right. Next one here is connect with 25 new prospects and deploy a messaging sequence. So we shot a show not too long ago about cold messaging through LinkedIn, and there's a right and a wrong way to go about that. But we are big fans, though. If you're going to use LinkedIn for growth, you should be always looking to expand your network with the right people and send personalized messages to them to start building a relationship.
Also, number 5 is to send personalized connection invitations to people you've met recently.
Yes.
Really important, right? We can talk a lot about cold messaging sequences, having an ideal client profile, finding them, going through and connecting with them. But also the more meaningful connections are ones that you met on the golf course yesterday, you met at a civic function, you met through your kids, and going in and connecting with them personally in a way that says, hey, we met, it meant enough to me to go in and log in and connect with you on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
So that you're going in and acknowledging through the personalization that you've met recently and that you'd like to be friends on LinkedIn.
You know, that's one of those ones that is, you might say it's pretty dumb bum, obviously, but it's easy to forget.
Oh, absolutely. People miss that all the time.
Yeah.
And so think about less of swapping business cards, more about connecting on LinkedIn.
The next one here is touch base with a dormant connection. So you probably have plenty of connections on LinkedIn, some that you've talked to recently and some that you haven't, right? But we want to keep our network alive, right? We want to engage with people. And so go in, every day and think of someone, oh yeah, you know what, I haven't touched base with so-and-so in a while. I'm going to send them a quick personalized message. And what's going to happen when you start doing that is you start building a network of people, and you're going to notice when you post, you're going to get more engagement. They're going to respond more. It's just, you're keeping your network alive.
Absolutely. So think about this as an example. Let's say you're going through your news feed and you find a post by somebody that you've known, you were more close with at one point in your career or one point in your life, and that maybe you haven't reached out to in a while. You see a post from them, it gives you an easy excuse to message them separately and say, hey, I saw your post come through, just reminded me of all the good times we had. How are things going at XYZ firm? It's been a little while.
Great.
Right?
Yep.
All we got to do.
Next one here is find a new introduction opportunity. If you follow the Oxley Institute and the research that we do, you know that introductions are one of the number one ways that financial advisors are acquiring new clients, right? Leveraging someone that they know to meet someone else, the credibility transfer that occurs is really powerful. So we want you going every day and looking for someone new who could introduce you to who can introduce you to that ideal prospect.
Absolutely. So think really practically about this. So if we say going in and doing this every day, who do you have coming in for a meeting? So if I have a client coming in for a meeting, one of the things I want to do is pre-work for that is to look them up on LinkedIn. And I want to intelligently search through their network for people who look like they probably know them outside of LinkedIn, who look like they'd be a good client for me. And I don't want to be afraid about asking that client in person for an introduction. It works.
Yeah. Next one here. Number 8, stay top of mind by sharing an update. A lot of times when people think about social media, this is all they think about. Like, oh, well, I'm going to go ahead and schedule out my month and I'm going to post content regularly and business should start flowing in, right? Not so much. However, posting is important. It's important to be putting out good quality content on a regular basis. And doing so in a thoughtful way, right? And sometimes personalizing that content, we're actually seeing a big trend towards more personal content as opposed to only business. Now, business is good, but mixing in some personal is even better.
Yeah, I think that it's really powerful to have a bit of a combo approach that you probably have some kind of scheduling tool at your disposal through your firm or through an outsider like us where you have some content happening automatically, right? Really good thing to have. But it's also nice to complement that with some more personal or timely post of your own. So for example, at Kevin's point, if you have something that happened to your life personally, don't be afraid to post that on LinkedIn. I bet you'll get more engagement there than you do on some of your market update posts.
I bet you're right.
And also, if there's something really timely in the news that you're reading the Wall Street Journal this morning and you're thinking, oh, you know what, this is interesting enough for me to share with my network, it's super timely, add some personalized commentary there. It's nice to do that real time where it's actually pertinent.
Posting on LinkedIn is really hot right now. Organic reach is way better than it is on Facebook. So get in there and make sure you're posting consistently. It's good awareness and makes people think about you on a regular basis. Number 9 here is make a handful of meaningful comments on your connections post. So just as important as posting content is commenting and engaging with other people.
Yeah, most people notice when they start posting things on LinkedIn, they don't get a ton of love back, right? There's not a ton of comments that get put on there.
And they get discouraged.
Yeah, you look at it and you're thinking, well, it went out, but how many people actually liked it? Or it doesn't mean they didn't see it, right? So when you think, two things. Don't get discouraged when you post and you don't get a lot of love back, but also show other people the love. If you've got a client who's a business owner or in sales or for any other reason post on LinkedIn, be the first one to go in and comment on that post, to share it to your network, and to be with the one that when they think of who engages with me online, you're the one they think of.
Yeah, I love that. You'll get some love back. Next one here is to see who's viewed your profile. We get this question a lot. Steve and I do a lot of presenting on LinkedIn and Facebook strategies for advisors with some major firms, and we get this question of, what do I do when someone looks at my profile? We actually were giving a presentation up in San Francisco, and this advisor, and everyone, by the way, all the advisors in the presentation had computers out, which is sometimes difficult because it's like distraction. It's like we're trying to present and they're like all on their LinkedIn profile. But one guy said, hey, someone just looked at my profile and she looks really high level. She went to Harvard. She looks like she just relocated from the Northeast over to San Francisco, Northern California. What should I do? And we were like, okay, well, what do we do here? We said, well, why don't you invite her to connect? And he said, really? He said, yeah, just invite her to connect. So he did. Then he raises his hands. It's like an hour later and he goes, so she accepted my invitation to connect. What do I do now? Right? And again, this is during a live presentation. Like, why don't you send her a message and just say, hey, appreciate the connection. Would love to get to know you. Are you open to a quick call, something like that? And he said, okay, so he sends it. She responds and says, hey, thanks so much for the message. My husband and I have actually been looking for a financial advisor in the area, and we've relocated and blah, blah, blah. Can we set up a time to talk? And he was so excited. And it couldn't have been a better case study for us while we're presenting. But if someone's looking at your profile, there's a reason they're looking at your profile.
That's right. Whether they be somebody you don't know, somebody who's been a prospect, somebody who's a client or center of influence, there's a reason they're looking at it. We could do a whole podcast on this at some point about strategies, for reaching out to people who viewed your profile, and also with privacy settings and who can see this and who can't. Anyway, a topic for another day, but I think something to take note of. If they're looking at it, it's for a reason.
So that is our 20-minute LinkedIn routine. Can I recap it?
Please.
All right. Number 1, check your messages and respond just like you would with email. Number 2, check My Network for recent activity, new connections, etc. Number 3, review your notifications and look for opportunities to engage. 4, connect with 25 or so new prospects and deploy a messaging sequence. Number 5 here, send a personalized connection invitations to people that you've met recently. Easy one to forget. Number 6, touch base with the dormant connection. 7, find a new introduction opportunity. 8, stay top of mind by sharing an update. 9 here, make a handful of meaningful comments, keyword meaningful comments on your connections post. And 10, see who's viewed your profile.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you haven't done it yet, get engaged with our social media automation program. Our team is fantastic. We built a program here where you can leverage our expertise. We spend, would be willing to bet, more time than most people out there thinking about sales, marketing, and especially digital media. We've built a team here who specializes in social media for financial advisors. You would be assigned one of our team members to run your social media. They post for you. They engage for you. They run ads for you on LinkedIn and Facebook. It's a really powerful program. If you haven't explored it yet, take a look at the social media tab on our website and schedule a call with us. We're happy to talk with you about it. Thanks, everybody.